Hello, guys, and welcome back to this new episode. Today we are going to talk about Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette, and actually her love with and her relationship also with the Count Axel von Fersen. Now, Marie Antoinette was Queen of France. Also, she married Louis the 16th. In this marriage, there was also inevitably a form of alliance between France and Austria. She married Louis 16th, the Dauphin, on the 16th of May 1770, when the father of Louis XVI, meaning Louis XV, actually died due to smallpox. Now, dynastic marriages are rarely happy, but the one celebrated in Versailles on this date, 16th of May 1770, between Marie Antoinette, Josepha Johanna, daughter of Francis I, Holy Roman Emperor, and the Dauphin Francis Louis Augustus, was decidedly inauspicious. Two dictators, on the other hand, had been more political issues, that is, to cement the still fresh alliance between the historical enemies France and Austria in an anti-Prussian function, right? But the wedding night was absolutely a disaster. But it was only the beginning. The union remained white for the first 7 years, and it was in this fruitless menage that Marie Antoinette became involved somehow, and will explain how, with von Fersen, who became her favorite, and who entertained her during this time. We are in the winter of 1774, when the future Queen of France and von Fersen, just 18, met for the first time. The occasion was a grand masked ball at the Paris Opera. She wore the domino, which was like a long hooded cloak, and a thin mask to cover her eyes, and probably the desire to also fall in love. Von Fersen had arrived in the city as a part of the Grand Tour, an educational trip that all young people of his lineage would make. He was 6 feet tall, with regular features, blue eyes, edged with dark black lashes, and for the ladies of the court, he soon became Le Beau Fersen the Beautiful. But they actually started to have a proper relationship. Soon he had become her favorite, and this was particularly worrying to all the courtiers. Luckily, though, she became very quickly also the new Dauphina, so the new Queen of France, and Fersen understood that it was a better idea to get a change of scenery. Years passed before the two met again. Fersen had become a man and was taking his steps in politics under the wings of his sovereign Gustav III. Marie Antoinette was a young queen, finally pregnant. Again, Fersen did not stay long on French soil. The Americans fought for their independence from England and Paris, and therefore Gustav III sends von Fersen with a contingent overseas to support the rebels. At the beginning of 1779, Fersen joined. On his return, King Gustav or Gustavus III took him with him on a long diplomatic tour of Europe, and therefore here the two met one more time in Paris. We are in the summer of 1784, when Fersen made a stop in Versailles. It didn't take long for the Swedish count and the queen to let themselves be sucked into that amusement park for adults conceived by the Sun King. This time around, Fersen did everything he could to stay in France. He knew that the bond with the queen could benefit him, and he was not mistaken. Marie Antoinette conceived her husband to lend him the money necessary to buy the command in the Regiment Royal, made up almost exclusively of Swedish military, which would have brought him a generous annual income. The relationship then was on. I love you madly. There is no time when I don't adore you. This is a message written by Queen Marie Antoinette, a message that came to light thanks to a theme of sciences. And it sheds lights on the relationship Marie Antoinette entertained with Count Axel von Fersen. He replied, I live and exist only to love you. Adoring you is my only consolation. Marie Antoinette had the thick correspondence with the Count destroyed, while he kept it, deleting only the hottest phrases so as not to compromise the queen, and making a copy of each letter sent to her beloved. So the descendants of the Swedish noblemen decided to donate these precious testimonies to the French National Archives. And they went over it through X-ray fluorescence technique, just to make sure that those letters were actually sincere from that time. Now, this is the historical proof that there was some sort of clandestine love that crossed the history of France in one of its most dramatic moments, that is that of the Revolution. In fact, now times are about to change. The storming of the Bastille, which happened in July the 14th, 1789, marked the end of an era. Now, most of the Jacobin brochures targeted the queen. She had never been popular, and for the superstitious time she lived in, being born on November the 2nd, the Day of the Dead, didn't help. They portrayed her as a frivolous woman who basically had sapphic loves with the ladies of the court. She was Austrian, which also didn't help. Austria had seized the throne of France, obeying the directives of her mother, Marie Therese, and basically Jacobins reckoned that she and her mother had led the nation to ruin. There was a grain of truth in the sense that Marie Antoinette squandered fabulous sums on cards and on her wardrobe, and she would throw these parties that sometimes lasted days. All of that while most of the population basically was dying of hunger. We are in October 1789, when thousands of women marched from Paris to Versailles, asking for bread for their children. The slogans of those women were all against the queen. She was identified with the evil of the country. Fersen intervened in defense of Marie Antoinette with a gallop. He preceded the procession and just had time to secure it. The march achieved a result. The next day, the king and the queen were forced to move to Paris, to Tuileries, a ruined palace on the right bank of the Seine. For over a year and a half, the king engaged in a tug of war with his opponents, uncertain whether to make concessions or call the other monarchs of Europe to his aid. With the glories and the flatterers gone, Marie Antoinette would have remained desperate and lonely if Fersen had not continued to be faithful to her. It was not an obvious choice, not even for an aristocrat like him, who could at any point in time be eliminated as the enemy of the revolution. Only in the spring of 1791 was Louis convinced to try to escape. The goal was to reach a location in the east of the country where a loyal military commander would be waiting for him with his garrison. The party must have looked like the retinue of a wealthy baroness. Marie Antoinette pretended to be the governess, but the disguise did not work. And in Varennes, they were recognized and forced to return to the capital. Now, Fersen managed a miracle to avoid capture, and from that moment began to tour to European courts, becoming the spokesperson for the French court. But nothing came out of it, and he was pretty much unsuccessful. At this point, Marie Antoinette is taken as an hostage, but she still writes, and we are on June the 28th. She writes to her beloved, reassuring him. She writes, "Don't be upset about me, nothing will happen to me. The National Assembly will show clemency. Goodbye, beloved man. Be calm if you can. Take care of yourself. Do it for yourself. Me, I can no longer write, but nothing in the world could stop me from adoring you to death." That is until October 16th, 1793, when Marie Antoinette was led to the gallows and guillotined. Fersen learned the lesson of his beloved dad while he was in Bruxelles, where he was still looking for a solution. "Although I was prepared for it and expected it," he writes, "I was devastated." Before the tragic epilogue, they had only managed to see each other one last time. She returned him a ring that he had given her long time ago, and he handed him a note on which was written in a short Italian sentence, "All to you, guide me. Tutto a te mi guida. All to you, guide me." And even though the story ends tragically, we also have to say here that in a time where love didn't really have a place, especially for people of a high rank, of a high lineage, right? They had the chance to meet and spend some time together and actually love one another deeply, or in a way that looks like that. But with that being said, I want to leave all the comments to you. So please, please, please comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you had heard this story before. So please, please, please let me know, comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And then we'll talk some more next time. With that being said, guys, I'll see you next time around. And all I have to say is pretty much bye. So, bye-bye.